Imagine being a superstar. The world adores you. Cameras flash every time you step outside, and millions hang on your every move. Now imagine that behind that perfect smile, the health you've always taken for granted is quietly failing. A disease lurks inside you, one that could end your life, and the world doesn't know. For many Hollywood legends, this wasn't imagination, it was reality. While they dazzled audiences with charisma and talent, some were fighting life-threatening illnesses in secret, keeping the truth hidden from fans, friends, and sometimes even family. Today, we're uncovering the stories of 9 famous Hollywood icons who bravely battled illness in private, keeping their struggles away from the public eye. These stories are shocking, heartbreaking, and a reminder of the fragility behind the glamour. Rock Hudson. Rock Hudson, the quintessential Hollywood heartthrob of the 1950s and 60s, was the very embodiment of charm, charisma, and classic masculine beauty. Towering, handsome, and effortlessly suave, he captivated audiences with performances in cinematic classics like Giant, Pillow Talk, and All That Heaven Allows. To the world, he was perfection on screen, a man every woman admired and every man envied, a figure who seemed untouchable, larger than life. Fans flocked to theaters just to catch a glimpse of him. Magazines praised his good looks and refined manners, and Hollywood studios carefully cultivated an image of a man who was confident, elegant, and completely in control. But behind that dazzling public persona, Rock Hudson carried a secret so profound it would ultimately redefine public awareness of disease and vulnerability. In 1984, he was diagnosed with HIV, the virus that leads to AIDS, at a time when the illness was poorly understood, widely feared, and deeply stigmatized. For Rock, this was not just a medical diagnosis, it was a threat to his carefully crafted public image, a revelation that could destroy the career he had spent decades building, and a personal fear wrapped in secrecy and silence. Hudson chose to keep his illness private, grappling with it in solitude, while continuing to maintain the facade of the Hollywood ideal. Friends and colleagues noticed his declining health, but the truth remained hidden from the public eye. Every public appearance, every interview, every photo shoot was performed under the weight of a life-altering secret, a burden carried alone by a man who had spent his life appearing fearless. When his diagnosis finally became public in 1985, just months before his death, the revelation shocked the nation. The news that such a beloved, iconic figure was battling a disease that was largely misunderstood brought HIV/AIDS out of the shadows and into global conversation. Hudson became the face of a crisis, humanizing a disease that had previously been stigmatized and feared. Suddenly, it was impossible for the public, the media, and even Hollywood itself to ignore the reality of AIDS, its devastating impact, and the urgent need for compassion, understanding, and scientific research. Rock Hudson's story is one of profound courage. Despite his illness, he remained dignified, private, and resolute, facing both mortality and societal judgment with quiet strength. He reminds us that even legends are human, capable of vulnerability and resilience. His life, his struggle, and his courage not only changed how the world viewed a devastating disease, but also left a lasting legacy of empathy, awareness, and the reminder that fame and strength do not make anyone immune to the challenges of life. Liberace. Liberace, the flamboyant pianist whose glittering costumes, dazzling charm, and extraordinary talent captured the hearts of millions, was the very definition of spectacle. On stage, he was untouchable, larger than life, a showman whose every movement seemed to shimmer with magic. From his sparkling rhinestone outfits to his elaborate candelabra-adorned pianos, Liberace created a world where audiences were transported into fantasy, a world where glamour and music intertwined in perfect harmony. Fans adored him, celebrities admired him, and television audiences couldn't get enough of his larger-than-life personality. But behind the sequins, the grand gestures, and the blinding spotlight Liberace carried a secret so profound it would only come to light after his death. In 1985, he was diagnosed with HIV, a virus that, at the time, carried fear, shame, and almost unimaginable stigma. Only a handful of his closest friends knew the truth. To the public, Liberace's declining health was explained away with vague statements about heart problems and general illness. His team, concerned about both his image and the potential backlash from a society still grappling with the realities of AIDS, worked tirelessly to shield him from scrutiny. This secrecy was not just a personal choice, it reflected the climate of the era. The 1980s were a time when AIDS was widely misunderstood and feared. Those diagnosed faced discrimination, judgment, and the potential end of their careers, regardless of their talent or contributions. For Liberace, whose entire persona was built around perfection, glamour, and control, revealing his illness would have shattered not only the public image he had carefully curated, but also the illusions that audiences adored. By the time Liberace passed in 1987, the truth could no longer be hidden. The official cause of death, complications from AIDS-related pneumonia, was revealed, sending shockwaves through fans and the entertainment world alike. For many, it was a moment of heartbreak and disbelief. How could someone so vibrant, so seemingly invincible, be taken by a disease shrouded in secrecy and fear? The revelation forced the public to confront the harsh realities of HIV/AIDS and to reckon with the human stories behind the headlines. Liberace's life and death serve as a stark reminder of the cost of stigma and of the courage required to live with a disease in a world that often punishes honesty. His secrecy shows how fear of judgment, of losing fame, and of public scrutiny can weigh heavier than the need for support, understanding, and medical transparency. Yet, behind the glittering persona, Liberace was human, vulnerable, courageous, and trapped by a world that could not fully accept him. Today, his story remains a testament not only to his brilliance as a performer, but also to the hidden struggles that countless individuals faced during the height of the AIDS crisis, reminding us of the importance of empathy, awareness, and compassion. Anthony Perkins. Anthony Perkins, the actor forever etched into cinematic history as the unnerving Norman Bates in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, possessed a rare combination of charm, vulnerability, and an almost haunting intensity. On screen, he could captivate and terrify audiences in equal measure, creating a performance so iconic that generations of moviegoers would forever associate his name with suspense and psychological complexity. His portrayal of Bates was not merely acting, it was an exploration of the darkest corners of the human psyche, a performance that revealed both brilliance and depth. Yet off-screen, Perkins faced a very different kind of fear, one far removed from scripts, cameras, and the adoration of fans. In the early 1990s, he was diagnosed with HIV, a time when the virus was still heavily stigmatized, misunderstood, and feared. For someone in the public eye, especially a leading actor with a cultivated reputation, the revelation of such a diagnosis could have been devastating, both personally and professionally. Perkins understood the world he lived in, a world quick to judge, slow to understand, and often cruel to those who fell outside societal expectations. Choosing privacy over public acknowledgement, Perkins concealed his illness from nearly everyone, continuing to work on projects while quietly attending treatments under pseudonyms. Friends and colleagues who knew of his condition were sworn to secrecy, protecting both his dignity and his career. He lived with a double life, maintaining the facade of normalcy while battling a disease that was relentless and merciless. Each day was a delicate balance between managing his health, keeping up appearances, and continuing to deliver the work he loved. It was only weeks before his death in September 1992 that the world finally learned the truth. Anthony Perkins had succumbed to AIDS-related pneumonia at the age of 60. The news was both shocking and heartbreaking, a stark reminder that even those who seem larger than life on screen are, at their core, human, fragile, vulnerable, and capable of immense courage. Perkins' story is not simply one of tragedy, it is also a testament to resilience. He continued to perform, to create, and to live his life with dignity, despite facing a terminal illness in secret. His secrecy, however, underscores the harsh realities of the era. The stigma surrounding HIV/AIDS forced countless individuals to endure their battles in isolation, concealing their suffering to protect themselves from public judgment and discrimination. Perkins' decision to fight privately reflects both the pressures of Hollywood and the societal fear that enveloped those diagnosed during that time. Anthony Perkins' legacy is twofold. As an actor, he redefined psychological horror and captivated audiences with performances that remain unforgettable. As a human being, he demonstrated quiet courage, showing the world that strength is not always visible, and that sometimes true bravery is enduring hardship without the need for recognition. His life and death remain a powerful reminder of the human stories behind the headlines, of the silent battles fought by many, and of the resilience required to face both fame and mortality simultaneously. Robert Reed. Robert Reed, the actor forever remembered as the steadfast and lovable father on The Brady Bunch, seemed to epitomize the very essence of wholesome family life. Week after week, he brought to life the character of Mike Brady, the calm, wise, and patient father figure who navigated the ups and downs of a blended family with grace, humor, and unshakable integrity. To the millions of viewers who tuned in to watch the show, Reed was the embodiment of reliability, moral clarity, and the idealized version of fatherhood. He was, for many, the perfect dad, someone audiences could trust, admire, and aspire to emulate. But behind the comforting smiles and picture-perfect persona, Robert Reed was grappling with challenges that no one watching at home could have imagined. Privately, Reed was battling two serious illnesses, HIV and colon lymphoma. The contrast between the father everyone adored on television and the man quietly struggling with life-threatening conditions was stark. For Reed, as for many in the early 1990s, the decision to keep his health issues secret was not simply about privacy, it was about survival. In a world still steeped in stigma, revealing an HIV diagnosis could have devastating personal and professional consequences. Throughout his illness, Reed confided in only a small circle of trusted friends and family, shielding the public from the harsh realities of his medical battles. He continued to navigate life and maintain a public presence as best he could, even as his body grew weaker. The tension between his on-screen image of strength and his off-screen vulnerability created a complex, often heartbreaking duality. Here was a man celebrated for his composure and authority, yet privately enduring the fear, uncertainty, and pain that accompany terminal illness. When Robert Reed passed away in 1992, the truth about his HIV status was revealed, surprising audiences who had always associated him with health, vitality, and moral uprightness. For many, it was a jarring reminder that the carefully curated images of celebrities often conceal profound personal struggles. Reed's death underscored the quiet courage required to face a life-threatening illness in secrecy, especially at a time when HIV was widely misunderstood and heavily stigmatized. His story resonates because it highlights the pressures placed on public figures to maintain appearances, even at the expense of their own well-being. Reed's choice to keep his illness hidden illustrates a broader reality. Countless individuals during this era faced similar challenges, forced to navigate illness, fear, and societal judgment in isolation. The world saw a composed, reliable actor on screen, but few could grasp the gravity of the battles he fought behind closed doors. Robert Reed's life and death serve as a powerful reminder that appearances can be deceiving. Beneath even the most polished exterior can lie struggles that remain unseen, unspoken, and profoundly human. His story is one of quiet resilience, a testament to enduring dignity and a poignant reflection on the human experience, the courage to face challenges silently, the strength to uphold a public persona while privately battling illness, and the reminder that true heroism is not always measured in fame or accolades, but in the quiet fortitude with which one confronts life's most daunting trials. Wayland Flowers. Wayland Flowers, the brilliant comedian and ventriloquist behind the notorious and unforgettable puppet Madame, carved out a place in entertainment history with his sharp wit, edgy humor, and fearless irreverence. On stage, he was a force of nature, blending sophisticated comedy with biting social commentary, delivering punchlines that made audiences laugh while leaving them slightly off balance, never quite sure what outrageous remark Madame would make next. Flowers' performances were electrifying, a masterclass in timing, improvisation, and theatricality. To fans across the country, he appeared larger than life, invincible in his humor, and untouchable in his creativity. But behind the laughter, Flowers was fighting a private and deadly battle. In 1987, he was diagnosed with HIV, a disease still shrouded in fear, misinformation, and stigma. At a time when the public associated HIV/AIDS with shame, judgment, and social ostracism, Flowers chose to keep his diagnosis a closely guarded secret. Even as his health began to decline, he refused to let the disease define him or his career. The stage remained his sanctuary, a place where his energy, humor, and fearless personality could shine, despite the devastating reality of his illness. His illness progressed to Kaposi's sarcoma, a cancer commonly linked with AIDS, which manifested in painful lesions on his skin. For many, such a diagnosis would have been enough to step away from the spotlight, but Flowers continued performing. Each show became an act of quiet defiance, a refusal to surrender to a disease that was claiming the lives of so many around him. Audiences, unaware of the severity of his condition, witnessed the same sharp-tongued humor, the same flamboyant costumes, and the same razor-sharp timing that had made him a star. Behind the curtains, however, Flowers endured pain, fatigue, and the emotional weight of secrecy. Wayland Flowers passed away in 1988 at the tragically young age of 48. His death shocked fans, colleagues, and the entertainment world, but the revelation of his HIV status cast his life and career in a new, profoundly moving light. Flowers had spent his final years battling not only a fatal illness, but also the societal stigma that forced him into silence. The contrast between his vibrant stage persona and his private struggle exemplifies the complex realities faced by many living with HIV/AIDS during the 1980s, where courage often meant enduring pain in isolation and maintaining dignity in the face of relentless adversity. Flowers' legacy is a blend of brilliance and bravery. He left behind a body of work that continues to inspire laughter, pushing the boundaries of comedy and ventriloquism. Yet equally important is the story of his resilience, the choice to live fully, creatively, and unapologetically despite facing a devastating illness. His life serves as a reminder that heroes come in many forms. Some wield swords or shields, others wield words and wit, and some confront mortality with courage hidden from public view. Wayland Flowers was all of these, a performer whose laughter masked pain, whose charm masked vulnerability, and whose courage continues to resonate long after his passing. Sharkey, the charismatic actor who rose to prominence in the 1980s, seemed to have everything a Hollywood star could want: talent, recognition, and the kind of presence that made him stand out in any scene. Known for roles in films like The Idol Maker and numerous television appearances, Sharkey had the kind of career many actors could only dream of, marked by versatility and an effortless ability to captivate audiences. On the surface, he projected confidence, charm, and professional dedication, the very image of a rising star in Hollywood. Yet, beneath the glitz and glamour, Sharkey was facing a battle that few knew about. In an era when HIV/AIDS was heavily stigmatized and poorly understood, he received his diagnosis in secret. Fearful of the potential professional repercussions and the harsh public judgment that accompanied such news at the time, he confided in only a small circle of close associates. To the public, he remained the same talented, confident actor they admired on screen, even as his health was slowly deteriorating behind closed doors. As the years passed, the effects of the disease became increasingly difficult to hide. By the early 1990s, Sharkey's health had visibly declined. Friends and colleagues noticed that the vibrant energy that had once defined him was waning. Despite this, he continued to work whenever he could, demonstrating a quiet courage and resilience that spoke volumes about his dedication to his craft. Each appearance, each role, became an act of defiance against the disease that threatened to take him, a testament to his determination to remain active and visible despite the odds. Tragically, Ray Sharkey's life was cut short. In 1993, at the age of 40, he passed away from AIDS-related complications. His death, like that of many others in Hollywood during this era, served as a stark reminder of the devastating impact of HIV/AIDS, a disease that, at the time, forced talented individuals to fight in silence, often leaving the world unaware of the full extent of their struggles. Sharkey's story highlights the hidden toll of an illness that not only attacked the body but also demanded secrecy, isolation, and the constant management of public perception. Beyond the tragedy, Ray Sharkey's life carries a message about resilience, courage, and the invisible battles many faced during the height of the AIDS epidemic. While audiences remember him for his on-screen talent, his private struggle reflects the broader experience of countless individuals whose lives and careers were overshadowed by fear and stigma. Sharkey's ability to continue performing despite a debilitating illness exemplifies a form of heroism that is quiet, personal, and profoundly human. Courage not always recognized or celebrated, but no less significant for its impact. Ray Sharkey's legacy, therefore, is twofold. On one hand, he is remembered as a gifted actor whose performances left a lasting impression on film and television. On the other, his life stands as a poignant reminder of the silent battles waged by those living with HIV/AIDS, the sacrifices they made to protect their careers and reputations. Yet, there is a profound courage in their stories as well, the determination to continue working, performing, and living life on some level, even in the face of life-threatening illness. Today, their legacies carry an essential lesson. Illness is not a reflection of character, strength, or worth, and public perception should never force someone into silence. The struggles of Liberace, Rock Hudson, Gia Carangi, and others remind us of the vital importance of compassion, empathy, and awareness. By understanding and acknowledging the challenges they faced, we not only honor their memories, but also continue the fight to remove stigma from life-threatening diseases, ensuring that future generations can confront illness without fear of judgment or shame. The stories of these 9 Hollywood legends remind us of a powerful truth. Illness does not discriminate. Fame, talent, and public adoration offer no protection from life-threatening diseases. But there is hope. Their struggles sparked conversations, raised awareness, and ultimately helped to stigmatize illnesses like HIV/AIDS. Their legacies are not just their films, performances, and music. They are lessons in resilience, secrecy, courage, and the human cost of societal judgment. Behind the glamour and fame, these icons were real people fighting silent battles. Their stories encourage us to value health, support those suffering in private, and remember that compassion should always precede judgment. These Hollywood legends may have hidden their illnesses from the world, but today their stories serve as a powerful reminder. Truth, awareness, and courage can change the course of lives, even after they are gone.